Ethan Ward wiped the sweat from his forehead as he adjusted the tools in his hands. The research outpost was alive with hums of energy and the soft clicks of machinery. Humans were still rare on this distant planet, and most of the work was done by the aliens who moved with smooth, confident precision. Ethan often felt small among them, a simple engineer trying to fix complicated machines. But today everything felt different. He glanced at the main energy reactor, a massive tower of glowing circuits and pulsing lights. The aliens called it the heart of Arcanes, and it powered the entire outpost. Ethan knew it was delicate. One wrong connection, one misread gauge, and the whole place could be in danger. He had double-checked everything, but somehow he still felt a tight knot of worry in his chest. From the corner of his eye, Ethan saw the small alien child wandering near the reactor. The child had smooth blue skin and wide, shining eyes that seemed far too curious for someone so young. Humans rarely saw alien children, and Ethan didn't know the proper way to talk to them. But the moment he noticed the child stepping closer to the humming tower, alarm bells rang in his mind. "Hey, you shouldn't be there," he shouted, trying to sound calm, but fear edged his voice. The child looked at him, blinking innocently, and took another step. Ethan's heart raced. Something inside him refused to let the child get hurt. He ran forward, not thinking of himself, only thinking about the tiny life in front of him. The reactor shuddered. A low, vibrating hum turned into a sharp, high-pitched scream of energy. Lights flickered, alarms blared, and the ground beneath Ethan's feet shook. Engineers and workers shouted, running for safety. The child froze, wide-eyed, staring at the sudden chaos. Ethan felt his stomach drop. There was no time to think. He dove forward, pulling the child behind him. The air shimmered with energy arcs and sparks flew dangerously close. He wrapped his arms around the child, holding him tight against his chest. The world blurred into a bright, white flash. For a moment, everything went silent. Ethan could hear nothing, feel nothing, but the weight of the child in his arms kept him tethered to reality. He realized he wasn't thinking about his own fear or pain. All that mattered was keeping the child safe. He pressed himself closer, shielding the small body as best he could. Time seemed to stretch. The hum of the reactor became a roaring wave, pushing heat and light against him. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut, expecting the worst. But deep inside, a strange calm settled over him. This was the moment that would define everything, whether he lived or died, whether the child survived, and he felt ready. A sudden explosion of light rocked the room. Panels blew open and a shockwave threw Ethan and the child to the ground. He felt a sharp sting on his arm, but it was nothing compared to the fear of losing the child. He rolled to shield the child, curling his body around him like a protective shell. The world was chaos, screaming and fire, but Ethan stayed still. He stayed strong. When the light began to fade, Ethan felt himself slipping. The noise and motion vanished, replaced by silence and warmth. His eyes slowly opened. The reactor was quiet now, the sparks gone, the danger over, at least for the moment. The child was still in his arms, safe, looking up at him with wide, trusting eyes. Ethan's chest heaved as he sat up, amazed he was alive. The other engineers and workers were beginning to stir, slowly crawling out from their hiding places. They were shaken but unharmed. Ethan looked down at the child. The small hands reached up to touch his face, and for the first time Ethan smiled through the exhaustion. "You're safe," he whispered softly, unsure if the child understood his words. But the little alien's eyes shone with gratitude. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, a strange sense of pride. He was just a human, weak and small compared to the aliens around him. Yet somehow in that moment he had mattered. He had made a difference. Around him the outpost began to settle, workers moving cautiously to assess the damage. But Ethan didn't notice them. He only noticed the child, still trembling but alive, and something else, a quiet feeling of destiny. He didn't know what it meant yet, but deep inside he felt that the small act of standing between life and death had changed everything. Ethan's hands trembled as he held the child closer. Somewhere in the distance, a low rumble echoed through the halls. Not danger this time, but the sound of something new, something watching. And for the first time Ethan wondered what the future might hold, both for him and for the small alien he had saved. One thing was certain. No matter what came next, he would never forget the moment he became the protector. And he would never forget the eyes of the child looking up at him, full of trust and hope, the kind of hope that could change worlds. Ethan slowly opened his eyes, blinking against the soft glow of the medical chamber. His head throbbed, and his body ached as if he had been tossed around by the universe itself. He could feel the small weight of the alien child still pressed against his chest. The child stirred, looking up at him with wide, shining eyes, and reached out a tiny hand. "Hey, you're okay," Ethan whispered, a tired smile breaking across his face. The words felt strange on his tongue, yet comforting. The child didn't speak, only made a soft, melodic sound like a song of relief. Ethan didn't know what it meant, but he understood it as thanks. He tried to sit up, and that's when he realized he wasn't alone. Around the edges of the room, tall, elegant aliens in flowing robes watched him silently. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. Their expressions were calm but intense, as if they were studying him with great care. One of them stepped forward, a figure taller than the rest, with golden patterns etched across their skin. The child reached out to this figure, who lowered themselves to meet the child's gaze. Ethan watched the exchange, feeling a strange mixture of awe and confusion. "Human," the figure said, their voice smooth but commanding. "You have done what none of your kind were expected to do. You have protected the future of our people." Ethan blinked. I couldn't let him get hurt," he said, unsure how to explain. "I didn't think about anything else." The alien's eyes softened slightly. "That is why you are different. You acted with courage without thought for yourself. You acted with heart. That is rare even among us." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. He had never seen himself as brave. He had fixed machines, helped others, and tried to survive in a galaxy that often felt too big and too strange. But hero? That word felt heavy on his chest. Before he could respond, the door to the chamber slid open. Ethan froze as a line of soldiers entered. They were tall, armored, and carried weapons that glimmered with energy. But something strange happened. As soon as they saw him, every soldier knelt, their heads bowed in unison. Ethan's eyes widened. He swallowed hard. What is this?" he asked, his voice trembling. The figure in gold stepped closer. "This is respect. You have saved the one who will inherit the leadership of our people. You have placed yourself in danger to protect a life. That is an honor beyond measure. Even our army kneels to recognize it." Ethan shook his head, feeling overwhelmed. "I didn't do it for honor. I didn't even think I would survive." The child made a small sound again, stepping closer to him. Ethan reached down and held the small hand, feeling its tiny warmth. The connection was simple, but it felt stronger than anything else around him. Somehow, this little life had changed the way the aliens saw him, and maybe the way the universe saw humans. The golden figure nodded. "It is true. You did not act for glory, but that is why your act has meaning. It shows what humans are capable of. Courage, compassion, heart." Ethan felt a rush of emotion. He had spent his life feeling small and insignificant, but here he was, in the middle of an alien world, and suddenly, everything he had done, every small choice, every careful step, had led to this moment. He could feel the weight of the honor pressing on him, but it was mixed with pride too. The child leaned against him, and Ethan realized that even though he had protected this small being, the child had also protected something inside him, a sense of purpose he had never known. He had acted without thinking, but now he understood the consequences. His simple act of courage had changed how an entire species viewed him and perhaps all of humanity. A soft chime echoed through the chamber. The soldiers slowly rose, still bowing slightly as they backed away. The golden figure gestured toward the door. "Come. There are others who wish to meet you. Your actions have reached the ears of our council." Ethan hesitated for a moment, glancing down at the child. The child smiled, the kind of smile that did not need words. Ethan nodded. "Okay," he said softly. He lifted the child carefully and followed the figure out of the chamber. The hall beyond was vast and shining with a light he could not name. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved through it, stopping to bow as he passed. Ethan felt like he was walking through a dream, a world where every glance and every gesture carried deep meaning. He had never imagined anything like this. Finally, they reached a large chamber at the center of the outpost. The golden figure stopped and turned to him. "Here you will meet those who will guide you, human. And you will learn the truth of what your act has begun." Ethan's heart pounded. He had thought today would be just another day of work, another day among aliens who barely noticed him. But now he realized today was the day his life had changed forever. The child tugged gently at his arm and Ethan smiled down. Whatever happened next, he knew one thing for sure. He would always protect this child. He didn't yet understand the power of that choice or the stories that would follow, but he knew that courage, even from a simple human, could echo across worlds. And for the first time in his life, Ethan felt ready to step into that story. Ethan followed the golden figure and the small alien child into a grand chamber unlike anything he had ever seen. The room was enormous, with tall ceilings that shimmered with a soft, golden light. Statues of past leaders, both human and alien, lined the walls. The air felt heavy with history, and Ethan could sense the importance of every step he took. The golden figure stopped at the center of the chamber. "Here is where the council meets," the figure said. "Here, you will meet those who decide the future of our people." Ethan's stomach tightened. He had never imagined being called to such a place. He was just a human engineer. He fixed machines. He did not lead armies, he did not make grand decisions, and he certainly did not belong in a council chamber filled with the most important beings on this planet. Yet, when he looked at the small child in his arms, he realized something. The child's life depended on him. Somehow, by protecting this child, he had become part of something much bigger than himself. The doors at the far end of the chamber slid open, and a line of aliens entered. They were dressed in flowing robes and armor, some with insignias that Ethan did not understand. Their eyes glowed with curiosity and respect as they approached. The room fell silent. The golden figure stepped forward. "Council members, this human has saved the air of our people. His courage has no equal and his heart is pure. He stands before you not only as a protector but as a symbol of what humanity can achieve." Ethan's mouth went dry. He had expected confusion, maybe even anger, for stepping into a dangerous situation. But instead he felt something unexpected: admiration. The council members stepped forward one by one. Each bowed slightly, a gesture of respect, then returned to their place. One of them, an elder with silver markings across his face, spoke. "Human, you have done what few beings in the galaxy would dare. You placed yourself between a child and certain death, knowing the risks. This is courage. This is honor. This is heart." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't do it for honor. I couldn't let him get hurt," he said. "Anyone would have done the same." A soft murmur spread through the council. The elder smiled. "No, not anyone. Most would have frozen. Most would have saved themselves first. You chose differently. That is why you are here." Ethan felt a strange mix of pride and disbelief. He was just a human. Humans were small, fragile, and often underestimated. He had never imagined that one simple act could carry so much weight. The child looked up at him and made a soft sound like a song. Ethan realized that the child was communicating without words, telling him that everything was okay. He felt a warmth in his chest, knowing that he had made a real difference. Another council member, tall and graceful, stepped forward. "This act of bravery changes everything," she said. "Humans were thought to be weak, but this human has shown that they are capable of courage, compassion, and loyalty. We must remember this." Ethan swallowed hard. He had never thought of humans as heroes. He had only thought of survival, of doing his job well, and of helping where he could. Yet now, his small act had rewritten the way these powerful beings saw his entire species. The golden figure gestured toward the child. "You have protected the future of our people. That is why we honor you." Ethan looked down at the child, feeling the tiny hands grip his arm. He had protected this small being, but in return, the child had given him something he could not have imagined: respect, trust, and a place in a story far larger than himself. A low hum echoed through the chamber. Ethan turned his head and saw the entire council kneeling, their heads bowed in unified reverence. Even the guards and attendants followed suit. Ethan's heart pounded. He had never seen anything like this. The golden figure placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is your honor, human. Not for power, not for fame, but for courage. Let it remind you that even the smallest act of bravery can change the hearts of many." Ethan felt overwhelmed. He had not sought recognition. He had not wanted to be special. And yet, here he was, at the center of a moment that would be remembered for generations. He glanced at the child, who looked up at him with shining eyes. Ethan smiled, understanding something deep and true. Sometimes courage is not about fighting battles or leading armies. Sometimes, it is simply about standing in the right place at the right time and protecting those who cannot protect themselves. As the council rose, the golden figure guided Ethan toward a small platform overlooking the chamber. "You will learn more about your role soon. For now, rest and understand that your actions have set a new course for humanity in the galaxy." Ethan nodded, holding the child close. He did not know what the future held, but for the first time he felt certain of one thing. He had found his place in a universe that once felt too big, too strange, and too distant. And as the council looked upon him with awe and respect, Ethan realized that courage could echo farther than he had ever imagined, even across the stars. Ethan spent the next few hours trying to process everything that had happened. The child sat quietly beside him, occasionally reaching out to touch his hand, and he felt a sense of responsibility heavier than anything he had ever known. The golden figure and other council members had left him alone to rest, But he knew it would not be long before they returned with new instructions. He thought about the explosion. It had not been an accident. Something in his mind clicked as he recalled small irregularities in the reactor's energy readings before the blast. There had been interference, patterns that did not make sense. Someone had tried to sabotage the reactor. Someone had tried to harm the child. Ethan's stomach tightened. He was just a human engineer, not a soldier. He had no experience in fighting or defending against threats like this. But he could not ignore it. The safety of the child, and the trust that the aliens had placed in him, depended on him doing something. Later, the golden figure returned, flanked by a team of aliens with analytical devices. "Human, you are well enough to hear our counsel," the figure said. "We have discovered evidence that the explosion was not accidental. Someone sought to harm the air and destabilize our people. You must help us prevent future attacks." Ethan swallowed hard. I don't fight. I'm not a soldier," he said. His voice wavered, but he held the child's hand firmly. "I fix machines. I solve problems. That's all I know how to do." The golden figure's eyes softened. "And that is why we need you. Courage alone is not enough. We need your mind, your insight, your skill. You understand the technology better than any of us. You can protect the child and the outpost in ways others cannot." Ethan thought about it. He was terrified. But the child looked up at him with wide, trusting eyes. The thought of failure was unbearable. He could not let anything happen to the child, not now, not ever. "I'll do it," he said quietly. "I'll help however I can." The council members nodded in approval. They began to explain their plan. The saboteurs had left traces of their interference, and Ethan's knowledge of the reactor could help detect and prevent further attacks. He would not fight with weapons, but he could design systems, reroute energy flows, and create safe evacuation paths. His mind was the weapon. Over the next few days, Ethan worked tirelessly. He examined the reactor, studied the sabotage patterns, and proposed safety measures the aliens had never considered. He taught them how to stabilize energy fields quickly, how to anticipate malfunctions, and how to protect the child without risking anyone else. The aliens, who had once regarded humans as fragile and insignificant, watched him with awe. They learned from him, followed his suggestions, and began to trust him in ways no outsider had before. For the first time, Ethan understood that his actions, small, careful, intelligent actions, could change the course of events. One evening, as the twin suns set over the outpost, the child tugged at his sleeve. Ethan looked down to see the small face smiling at him, unafraid and full of trust. The child's eyes seemed to say what words could not. "Thank you. You saved me. You protect me." Ethan smiled softly. "We protect each other," he said. "That's what matters." Word of Ethan's courage and skill spread across the outpost. Alien soldiers and workers began to treat him with respect, but not in fear or awe alone. They followed his advice, they asked his opinion, and they included him in decisions. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also a strange sense of belonging he had never experienced on Earth. Then came the day when the saboteurs tried again. A minor energy spike occurred near the reactor, subtle but dangerous. Ethan noticed it immediately, having set up sensors and alert systems during the past week. He rushed to the control panels, rerouted the energy flows, and engaged the containment fields he had designed. The danger passed without a single person harmed. The council and soldiers erupted in quiet celebration. Ethan felt exhausted, but a deep satisfaction filled him. He had not fought with weapons or strength. He had fought with knowledge, preparation, and courage. And it had worked. The golden figure approached him. "You have done more than protect the child. You have protected our people. You have shown that humans can stand beside us, not as weak allies but as equals. Your actions have earned the trust and respect of our species." Ethan looked down at the child, who now clung to his leg, laughing softly. For the first time, Ethan allowed himself to feel proud. He had started as a simple human just trying to survive. But now he had become something more, a protector, a teacher, and a symbol of courage. That night, as Ethan rested beside the child, he realized something important. Courage was not always about facing explosions head-on. Sometimes it was about thinking clearly, acting wisely, and refusing to give up. He had done that, and in doing so, he had changed how an entire species saw humanity. And in the quiet of the chamber, as the stars glimmered through the high windows, Ethan finally understood that bravery, knowledge, and compassion together could make someone a hero, even a simple human like him. The grand chamber was filled with light as Ethan stood beside the small alien child. Outside, the sun reflected off the polished walls, making the room glow as if it had been built from stars. Soldiers and citizens alike had gathered, and Ethan felt their eyes on him. He could see admiration, respect, and gratitude in every gaze. The air buzzed with a strange, quiet energy. He had never imagined that one simple act could lead to this moment. From a humble engineer fixing machines to a protector of a future leader, his life had changed in ways he could hardly comprehend. He looked down at the child, who now smiled up at him, and Ethan realized that the bond they shared had made all of this possible. The golden figure approached and gestured to the crowd. "Today," the figure said, voice echoing with authority, "we honor this human. His courage, wisdom, and heart have protected the future of our people. He has shown us that even a being from another world can rise above fear and doubt to perform extraordinary acts." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. I didn't do it for honor," he said quietly. "I just wanted the child to be safe." The figure smiled. "That is precisely why your actions matter. Courage born from selflessness shines brighter than any display of strength. You have reminded us that the heart of humanity is strong, even in the face of danger." A wave of movement swept through the chamber. One by one, soldiers, council members, and citizens knelt in reverence. Their bows were not only for him but for the principle he represented, a human being standing between danger and innocence, choosing to act without hesitation. Ethan felt a lump in his throat. He had never experienced anything like this. The child tugged gently at his sleeve, and Ethan knelt beside him, holding the tiny hands. The child's soft gaze met his, and Ethan knew that no words could fully express the gratitude between them. He had saved this small life, but in return he had received something far greater: trust, respect, and a sense of purpose. The golden figure spoke again. "Humanity has been underestimated in our galaxy. Your actions today have begun to change that perception. From this moment forward, humans will be seen not as weak outsiders, but as beings capable of courage, intelligence, and heart." Ethan felt a surge of humility and pride at the same time. He was just one person, one human. And yet, his simple choice had shifted the view of an entire species. He realized that heroism did not require superpowers, armies, or titles. It required compassion, quick thinking, and the willingness to act when it mattered most. The council members approached, offering words of thanks and admiration. Aliens he had never met shook his hand, their touch firm and respectful. Some whispered words Ethan did not understand, but he could feel the warmth behind them. He was part of something larger now, a bond between worlds sealed by courage and trust. Outside, the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the chamber floor. Ethan stood tall, holding the child close, and watched as soldiers and citizens began to rise from their kneeling positions. The murmur of conversation filled the air, but it was not tense or fearful. It was filled with hope and curiosity. Humans had made a mark here, and the story of their courage would be told for generations. The golden figure placed a hand gently on Ethan's shoulder. "You have done more than protect the child. You have protected the ideals of our people. You have reminded us that bravery and wisdom are not limited by species. You have given humanity a new reputation in the galaxy." Ethan nodded, overwhelmed but grateful. He glanced at the child, whose eyes sparkled with innocence and trust. "We did it together," he whispered. The child responded with a soft, musical sound, and Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of connection. As night fell, the stars began to appear in the sky above the outpost. Ethan looked out the high windows and saw the vast expanse of the galaxy, filled with countless worlds, some familiar, most unknown. He thought about Earth, his home, and how small it seemed from this distance. Yet he realized that one human, acting with courage and heart, could change the way entire civilizations saw his species. The golden figure stepped back, allowing Ethan and the child to be alone for a moment. Ethan held the child tightly, feeling the warmth and trust radiating from him. He understood that this was not the end of his journey but the beginning. He had been given a chance to show what humans were capable of, and he would not waste it. In the quiet of the chamber, with stars glittering outside and the gentle hum of the outpost around him, Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had started as a simple engineer, unsure of his place in the galaxy. Now he was a protector, a symbol of courage, and a bridge between worlds. He looked at the child one last time before settling down for the night. "Tomorrow," he whispered softly, "we keep protecting, keep learning, and keep showing the galaxy what humans can do." And in that moment, surrounded by the silent respect of an entire civilization, Ethan understood a truth that would stay with him forever. Bravery, compassion, and intelligence, no matter how small or simple, could change the course of history, even across the stars.